Hey, welcome to Hearsay. I'm Paul.
And I'm Patrick.
And we're going to be talking about our top 10 list of the best of Marvel villains.
In the cinematic universe. MCU Villains is going to be great. Now, if you like this sort of thing, or you like anything adjacent to this sort of thing, we do videos every week. Check out our channel. Maybe hit a little like or subscribe if you like or feel like getting more of it. Now, on with the show. I want to get straight in with something. Okay. We're doing our top 10 villains.
Yes.
So that means out of the MCU films, of which there are 23.
Correct.
And there are approximately about 30 characters that we classify as villains, because some films had more than one.
Yeah.
We had to rule out a load of people who didn't make that top 10. I want to give special mention to the people at the very, very bottom.
Okay.
Because I'm kind of mean like that. It's all great who came first, but who came last and last-ish?
Okay.
Because I really hate this one. So I just want to throw in my last choice was Malekith from Thor the Dark World. Christopher Eccleston, you have done many fine things. That was an abomination.
Is that it? Is that where?
That's the bottom. Yeah, and
we're just going to go on to the next.
Mads Mikkelsen nearly got that role and apparently couldn't do it. And he ended up being another person who didn't make our top 10 as the villain in Doctor Strange. That is
true.
So that character's cursed, all right? That's all I'm saying. No more evil elves. Or whatever the hell he was.
So we're not going to mention any of
these
ones?
Unless you have a particular pick. Like, who are you particularly like? That was just a rubbish villain.
No.
Let's make it about hate.
No.
Okay.
There's no one. Malekith is the bottom of our list. So,
our joint bottom.
You know.
Okay, and this list you will agree or disagree with. This is based on no scientific or empirical evidence. We both have different reasons for choosing who we chose, and then we compromised, as we always do. Yep. So as we're given the top 10, there might be the odd time where we mention, well, actually, I had somebody else there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're a bit like that. So, Paul?
So, at number 10.
Ooh.
We're going to start at the bottom, right?
10.
So, at number 10, it is Captain Marvel, Jan Rog. Also known as Captain
Played by, known as Marvel. Well, yeah, depending. In the movie, just Jan Rog.
Yeah.
He was played by
Jude Law.
Somebody I don't really gel with.
Mm-hmm.
Not this is worth saying. This is where we started differing. I had a few other choices for this 10th spot. I was mixing around between Ultron and I don't want to say too much more in case it gives away what else isn't on the list.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was swayed by Paul's argument, and Paul's about to make that argument to you as to why this is one of the better Marvel villains.
So, Jan Rog, played by Jude Law. It's kind of one of those, sleight of hand tricks in the sense that, you feel, if you went to the film like us, we were kind of like, he's probably the bad guy. Just from some trailers and stuff like that. But we were never 100% sure. But when the reveal happens, that he is the big bad guy for the film. Watch the film again, and it's like weird because knowing he's the bad guy 100%, a lot of the stuff is a lot more kind of sinister, and you're just like, in the original one, you're just like, he's a friend and a mentor, and then you're just like, he's definitely training a weapon. That's the whole purpose, to kill the people he doesn't like.
We're going to be getting on through this list, and we'll spend more time later on in the list. But just to give Jude Law and Jan Rog their fair run, he was making menacing face from the start of the movie. Any clips that we can find that we're showing right now while I'm speaking, you will see that Jude Law, the supposed friend or nice character who would turn out to be evil, he was making evil face from like scene 1. So, like, I get it. He's one of the better villains of all the list. Like, he definitely beats your Malekiths or Yellow Jackets or Ghosts or any of those. So I'm going to move us on to number 9 unless you want to.
No.
Okay, number 9. I really hope I come up with something that splashes on screen there. Regretting doing it already, folks. I bet you that didn't look as good as it did in my head. Red Skull from Captain America. Red Skull, Captain America. Everybody's least favorite villain, yet strangely he made our top 10.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
I don't get it either. Hugo Weaving did a great job.
Mm-hmm.
So, actor, great. Performance, great.
Yeah.
Motivation of villain is, and I think I was trying to find the right words for this because I was going, he's in the right time period. He's a villain of the right time, and it's one of the few. It's kind of the only one that's set in a distant enough time period on the list.
Yeah.
And you were like, he's a classic villain.
Yeah.
And he does have classic villains.
Classic villain, like.
And the bit that gets me, the thing that I always stand up for Red Skull on, is he is one of the only villains in the entire MCU. He's made out to be a big bad Nazi, and you're like, he's a zealot and just horrible. And then you find out he's worse than that, because he's not even just a Nazi. He's like, oh no, I'm going to rule the whole world. So he's like head bad guy, and he has such disregard for the protagonist. He does not care about Captain America. His ambivalence to Captain America's presence or existence just makes him that much more of a good bad guy. He doesn't even care about the star of the film you're watching. So that's kick-ass on a level for me.
No, he's a classic kind of bad guy villain kind of character in the sense that, like, he's got his kind of moral ambiguity about how things are done, and drives straight towards that goal, full believing that he's in the right and doesn't matter who he harms, and then so it's this classic kind of like, and he's also a mirror image of the hero, so it's kind of good. So unless there's anything more, so number 8, eight.
There,
Star Wars.
Number
8 is Captain America, Winter Soldier, the Winter Soldier / Alexander Pierce.
So a little bit of a cheat here between the Winter Soldier Sebastian Stan character that then goes on to become part of the Avengers, and Alexander Pierce. And if you don't remember who that is, you'll see him on screen. It's Robert Redford, the evil Hydra head of S.H.I.E.L.D., essentially.
The chairman.
Yeah. The revealing agent of the big twist in the MCU, that move from S.H.I.E.L.D. being S.H.I.E.L.D. to S.H.I.E.L.D. being Hydra.
Yeah, which was a nice kind of reveal. So the reason we kind of got in a double way is Winter Soldier is a very capable villain. He's methodical, skilled to take on anyone he needs to take on, and
he has history. He's well enough rounded also because you have the Bucky Barnes character from the original Captain America. He's hero adjacent. He's got relationship, but like you're saying, he's the weapon. He's the dude.
Yeah, like he's the weapon. We kind of tried to base this on certain like willingness to kill, and like Winter Soldier's kind of brainwashed into one of the major criteria for it was willing to kill. And Winter Soldier he's a soldier. He's brainwashed. He's a reluctant brainwasher, or broshy. Whereas Alexander Pierce has no qualms about it. He doesn't do the killing himself, but he's happy to have people killed. I think he does actually kill someone.
He does in the round room. Yeah.
So like So like we kind of doubled up on this because like Winter Soldier's a really good villain in himself. Alexander Pierce is also a very good villain. They're in the same movie. We were like,
it's just as far as the MCU movies go, Winter Soldier's such a good one. And you don't generally get a good movie without a good villain. And I think when we looked at this one, they make a good villain. They make a villainous presence. Through action and through design of the chairman. So that, as far as I'm concerned, is a solid number 8. And now we're starting to get slightly further up the list into 7. This is where things started getting a bit more. Should this be this high? Should it be lower? This is where we both started going, I'm not too sure. And it is Mysterio from Spider-Man Far From Home, which is Spider-Man 2 for the 3rd time.
The MCU Spider-Man 2.
MCU Spider-Man 2 has a nice rhyme to it. So Mysterio, what can you say? Jake Gyllenhaal did a great job.
He did.
One of the few times you have that twist from could he be a hero to could he be a villain? And obviously any of us going in that knew he was a villain, we're all like, he's going to turn in the end. But I will be honest, watching, and I was like, are they going to have the neck on them to go, actually no, the big twist here is he's not going to go evil yet.
Yeah.
So when they did his reveal, I was like, oh, that's excellent. That is excellent. The way they did it, the location they did it, how they shot it, it was just great. He had one of those just defining performances. Like it's a Mysterio movie.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Like that is Spider-Man Far From Home is a Mysterio movie with Spider-Man in it.
Yeah, it's nice to have that moment where you're like, because in Captain Marvel we were all like, is the Skrulls the bad guys? Are they the good guys? They're meant to be bad guys. And then we had the twists and kind of things. So when we came across Far From Home,
Yeah.
and we had the twist of, are they going to do this again where actually the bad guy is actually the good guy? Or like kind of, they gave enough groundwork in other films that you still had that hint of kind of like, oh, maybe they are going with it. But then Mysterio reveals in a perfect way.
And they messed with us nicely because it's like, oh, he's, there's, earth, water, fire, all sorts of stuff. Because I was watching Spider-Man Far From Home trailers, and I'm a small, my nerd card is paid up, all right? I'm not the best, but I was like, that's elemental stuff right there. That's going to be something else along with Mysterio. I thought multiple villain film. And then when it all played out, I was like, this is just great.
Yeah.
Because I actually don't rate that film that highly on this list if we're ever rating all the movies. But, God, Gyllenhaal really pulls it through.
He's a very good villain.
So, yeah, there you go. Mysterio in at 7.
So, we'll go on to number 6.
You're editing this video.
No, I'm not. No,
you all heard it here.
I
know.
You're the one who started this.
Rock, paper, scissors to see who edits it.
Number 6 is Marvel's The Avengers, Loki.
Yay. And it should be said that this is Loki from the Avengers, not Loki from Thor, who did make the list further down.
Yeah.
Just outside the top 10. But Loki in the Avengers is where Loki's a real villain.
Yeah, it's where he shines as a kind of character. In Thor, we kind of we didn't really want to. They didn't really give him enough kind of like, I guess, nuances and stuff, so that he would grow into the role as a like stepbrother, which was like
a threat.
No, not a threat. Like, because he was still kind of a threat. It was what's the Shakespearean kind of like,
like your
side brother kind of like jealousy kind of character.
Yeah.
They didn't give him enough to grow into that thing. But in Avengers, he really grows into it. Every time he comes up against, anytime he comes up against Thor, like the whole, like when he's in the drop ship and he's just like, I hate lightning, and he's just like, it's what comes generally after that I'm more not fond on. It's a great kind of brotherly kind of.
Oh, it's fantastic, and their ensuing fight after that.
Yeah.
But for me, what makes Loki just one of the ultimate villains in the MCU is his walkout intro. I am burdened with glorious purpose, and you're like, whoa, Loki's back, but that's a slightly different Loki. We've got resentful, whiny Loki from Thor, who's like, oh, I don't like my brother was more favored than me.
Yeah.
To I've come to play and I'm playing to win, and I'm a real douche about it. And he does the whole kind of standing outside the museum, and there's the allegorical kind of World War II analogy. He's a great villain at every point that he is a villain, because he then gets to do the other kind of villain where he's trying to talk to Black Widow and who's playing who. Yeah,
at first he's got the two levels of he is actually stronger than a lot of kind of the heroes, and then he is also quite a devious kind of like con artist kind of character. So it's good.
Some would say he's mischievous. Not. So Loki definitely deserves his place now in 6th, so just outside the top 5. So how good is the top 5? How good is the top 5? Because I'm just asking Paul, are we moving 5 up? I think so. So.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
I think our 5 is now Ironmonger.
Yeah.
Jeff Bridges from Iron Man.
Yeah.
If you want to look at the start of the MCU, you really do look at Iron Man as when it all absolutely took off. My God, Jeff Bridges, Obadiah Staines. Tony Stark built this in a cave from a box of scraps. The greatest line in all of the MCU, because it was delivered with so much punch. He enables the hero to become the hero. He's part of the hero's story. He's a foil. He's a villain. He's a foe. Well enough rounded and given enough backstory. Yes, you do know he's going to be the villain.
Yeah.
It's never hidden that much, but it's story-wise, it's played, written, and shot with enough nuance that you're kind of along with it. There's no cartoon in his villain.
Yeah.
There is some larger than life moments, but they're not cartoony.
Yeah. Like he's very much plays in the sense of a would be usurper. In the kind of sense that Tony Stark is the
he's the prince.
He's got the everything prince kind of thing going on, and then Obadiah is essentially the usurper who wants that throne kind of thing, you know.
And because he's a businessman, he pulls off that megalomaniacal, like again we're talking about one of the criteria is what makes these people capable of killing. He is capable of killing because he sees himself as this natural kind of I am up here and all of you are down here, which, you know, as a nice little allegory for the real world sometimes when it comes to business,
very true.
Did not hurt. So you can give us what is now our number 4.
Our number 4 is from Oichkos. Is
so it
Captain
was
America Civil War, which goes Baron Zemo. Now the reason I argued for this character quite a bit. He's a normal man, and he still goes up against the Avengers in every way, and like plays them like a fiddle to his plans. Which goes, his motivations are very, very good. It plays well into the whole concept of the Civil War kind of like thing, which is like the Avengers might need some oversight because of the damages in which they can inflict and have, which is because you get that nice piece where Tony Stark is having the conversation about the university, and then he talks to the woman who was just like, my son went over to help people, and you dropped a building on him. Like, it's very kind of like it comes home, and then it's like that person was very much not going to attack him or anything. It just gives him the photo and just kind of reminds Tony Stark that his actions have consequences. And then Baron Zemo has that kind of like ultimate turned up to 11 kind of like, your actions have consequences and I'm the consequence.
Yeah.
So I always feel like he's a good villain in the sense that he's willing to kill because he's willing to kill anyone. To have the Avengers tear themselves apart and destroy themselves for his family.
Yeah, and this I should point out, and Paul's been very kind, because this was if you don't mind me saying, this was your number 1 choice.
Yeah, he was.
And in our bartering and exchange kind of program, you were kind enough to have this moved down to 4. I think, and it was, for me, it was that. Because one of my issues, and I think Baron Zemo is amazing. I would almost say number 1 too. There was some shortcomings on the amount of screen time. There was some shortcomings on the amount of rounding of the character. But it was when we started talking about, well, what drives or what enables them to make that leap to being someone who kills. He's one of the most interesting on the whole list because he's driven by revenge. His first killing act of blowing up a building is exactly the same as what he sees that happened to him. Somebody dropped a building on his family, destroyed a building. If he had just, like I said to you, if he'd just run up to somebody and shot them, he wouldn't be a good villain.
No.
Even if that was part of his plan to get, Cap and Iron Man to tear each other apart because he's not strong enough to do it, the way he did it is justifiable in his head. So he makes sense as a villain, and I think he makes a very, very compelling villain because of that.
Yeah, he's a very, and I'm very much on the kind of compelling kind of villains, because I very much think that Mr. Freeze from the DC universe is the best villain.
There you go.
Like that kind of thing. So
if we left Baron Zemo as number 1, or Helmet Zemo as he is in the film, I wouldn't have been upset, if you know what I mean. I think, there's a big case to be made. But the 3 that kept him off.
Yeah.
Up next is. Well, actually, I'll let you go for this. No, because I explained the last time there was somebody that had 2.
Oh yeah, so our number 3 pick is Avengers Infinity War Thanos. And the reason we're picking this Thanos version instead of the Endgame version, which is actually very much lower on the list, is Thanos from Endgame is very vicious and very kind of like he seems more kind of a classic kind of villain kind of character, whereas this one he's so much more rounded out. He's so much more dangerous because he's like, he believes that he's the only one that can do what needs to be done. Like, I guess the best way to describe it is the worst kind of villain, or the hardest villain to beat, is the one that thinks they're the hero.
Yeah.
And Thanos in Infinity War definitely believes that he's the hero. So.
And I think, and after Infinity War, most of the world saw the film, but an awful lot of the conversation was about Thanos and whether or not he was a villain in the sense of he's bad and he's making no sense and he's just a crazy person, or he's a misguided villain who has, does Thanos have a point, was one of those things that was trending, that there was something to it. That's the Infinity War Thanos that deserves number 3 on the list. Complex, interesting, challenging, and thoughtful.
Yeah.
Endgame Thanos was just this crazy person who wanted to kill people. It wasn't. It was one of the great falls in the MCU of good character to he's kind of ruined that a little bit.
Yeah, they stepped back from kind of like it was very hard to see from Endgame Thanos how he got to Infinity War Thanos.
Yeah,
because that's also the thing
which
you need
timeline
to
wise,
you also need to remember Endgame Thanos is actually the one in the past, but it's like only for it's only a few years to Infinity Thanos, which is like the present day version, and the present day version is very much like he's very I guess not, what is it? He's like not. He's very reserved or very reluctant into his like. Into
he feels
his plan.
the burden.
Yeah, like that's the whole thing. Is he feels like he's the only one with the willpower to
do what he sees as awful, and then eventually. Backwards wise in Endgame, it's like I'm not so much seeing how awful this is. I'm just going a wee bit nuts for it.
So,
which is why we get on to the top 2, and number 2, which was my number 1, and then became my number 2, and then was my number 1 again. And still, right now as I'm sitting here, I'm kind of like, oh, Paul, can we change it to number 1?
Nope.
But our number 2 is Adrian Toomes' Vulture from Spider-Man. So the first of the Sony Marvel Spider-Man films, Michael Keaton played the Vulture. I could talk all night, but I'm going to try and succinctly say this in 20 or 30 seconds. He is an ordinary guy. He's shown as an ordinary guy trying to make a living, trying to keep people safe. He's shown as sympathetic to the viewer, going, well, that's a tough situation. He's kind of being screwed over here a little bit.
Yeah.
He doesn't just lash out and start killing people. He's an enterprising person, to say the least. Which also builds up the kind of understanding of, well, he would be somebody who could become a master criminal in that sense.
Yeah.
But my favorite thing is the first time he kills somebody, and we can hopefully cut the scene in here, where he kills the first Shocker.
Yeah.
It's an accident. He pretty much goes, I thought that was the anti-gravity gun.
Yeah.
But the minute he realizes he's killed somebody by accident, he makes peace with it very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And it's that transition from he's a good person doing bad things because the world's not great. It's a nice gradual step after step after step after step. And then they're like, no, now he's full on villain.
The road to being a bad guy is paved with good intentions.
That's it. And he takes all those steps in front of us.
Yeah.
And if you can watch Spider-Man Homecoming and not really enjoy that was my stomach, everybody, and not really enjoy the car scene where Michael Keaton...
Oh, that is...
The ride to the prom.
That is a genius. It's a great.
The ride to the prom, just awesome. If you're not a fan of any of these movies and you've watched this video randomly, just watch that one scene.
Yeah, definitely. So our top pick, our number 1 pick for the villains of the MCU, is Killmonger, Black Panther, Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, and it's an easy enough choice.
It is. He's an incredibly rounded out character. He's like everything that we've been saying. The reason that like Baron Zemo and Vulture are like our top, like are some of our top picks, is because like he's a normal-esque person. Got like a very good. He's very capable in the sense of kind of like being able to fulfill his plans. Driven as hell, which goes. He's also slightly relatable in the sense that he's been like disenfranchised from his like what would be his family, from his people.
Yep.
And then kind of comes back in a kind of like revenge, kind of like I will take over and
So he's got the has he got a point thing of Thanos from Infinity War. He's got the regular person understandable relatability of your Vulture. He's got the kind of power hungry nature of Ironmonger in the end. You know, that it corrupts him and goes too far. More than that, though, he's physically intimidating and dangerous. He's mentally intimidating and dangerous because he's not stupid. He's doing a Zemo, and he's working things out, and he really is playing the political game. And he's not just challenging a person, he's challenging a whole entire nation and culture of people.
Yeah, like he challenges the system that has failed him personally.
So, yeah, like Michael B. Jordan, also brilliant performance. The only thing that lets it all down is the final fight in the anti-grav train thing.
It's one of those, there seems to be a trend growing in MCU, which is like hard night fighting, which is like, we got that in Spider-Man Homecoming, and we got that in the Endgame. Sorry, not Endgame, in Black Panther as well. So I'm hoping that it's on a growing trend, because we got that in Venom as well.
I think we've had it all over the place. It was Thor Dark World, and Thor, and all sorts.
So yeah, he's a very nice rounded character. Kind of like he even destroys a character that we didn't actually have on our list, which is
Ulysses Claw.
Yeah, like which because we were going to have him on the list. He had a very good big potential. Kind of thing, but he does play a secondary kind of flute
One of the villains that got away from me, actually, because now you've heard our number one, maybe we'll throw in a few honourable mentions, because I think Ulysses Claw, we both said it after Black Panther, one of the great shames is that they actually killed him off.
Yeah.
He had a chance to become a better long-term villain, and had enough in Ultron, or Age of Ultron, and Black Panther.
Yeah.
And then there's the other side characters, like, as bad as Whiplash was in Iron Man 2, Sam Rockwell's Justin Hammer was kind of interesting in his own way, but I wonder how much of that's just because Sam Rockwell's awesome.
Yeah, that's true. We also had we've always had actually General Ross as well, which is like
Thunderbolt Ross,
because he's not like, it's always a kind of confusing, conflicting thing. Is he a bad guy? Is he not a bad guy? Because like he is trying to just protect everybody, but he's misled or miss.
There's a dark side. He's got a miss. What's the word? It's not always pointed in the right direction. His intentions are not always.
He's got a misdirection to the whole kind of like Avengers and stuff. He wants to do everything by the book in a world that isn't playing by the book anymore.
Yeah, but then you know what he does in Hulk, when it's like it's his daughter that breaks him out. I have mixed feelings about Ross, and I think we're going to see him more. I don't think William Hurt's done.
No,
I think he actually could be key to the next phase of the Marvel movies. But yeah, so Kevin Feige, if that's true, drop a like and a subscribe to this video, and don't forget to comment down below. I'd love to hear what you all think is wrong with our list, because there's loads that we think is wrong with our list. I guarantee you the minute we press stop, we're going to let's record again and change the list around completely, except for maybe Black Panther at the very top, Killmonger.
Yeah.
No, Vulture maybe at the top.
You keep saying
get us out of here,
Baron Zemo.
Baron Zemo.
If you like the list or have any changes and stuff like that, argue your villains down in the comments down below. We'll definitely have a look, and we'll counter argue as best we can, or we might agree with you.
We might just agree,
don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, check out our other videos, and share us out to your friends.
Yeah.
I've been Paul.
I've been Patrick.
And we've been Hear Us Out.
See you next time.